In my last video, I have discussed about FCFS CPU scheduling. What is FCFS? That is first come, first serve CPU scheduling. The process which comes first will be executed first. In this video, I'm going to discuss about shortest job first scheduling algorithm. In short, you can call this as SJF. That is shortest job first CPU scheduling algorithm. Before getting to the problem, we will discuss what is meant by shortest job first scheduling algorithm. This algorithm associates with each process the length of the process next CPU burst. When the CPU is available, it is assigned to the process that has the smallest next CPU burst. In case if the next CPU burst of two processes are same, in that case, FCFS scheduling is used to break the time. You just look into this diagram in the table given. Here you have set of processes and burst time associated with each processes listed. The burst time of process P1 is 6. For process P2, the burst time is 8. For process P3, the burst time is 7. And for process P4, the burst time is 3. So these are the list of processes kept waiting in the queue for the access of CPU. So before finding out what is the waiting algorithm and what is the waiting time, what is the turnaround time, first we have to draw a Gantt chart. Okay. So you just look at this table and see which process is having the shortest burst time among all the processes. You can see P4 has the burst time of 3 milliseconds. So P4 will be executed first by the CPU. And the next CPU burst process is process P1. So process P1 having a burst time of 6, which is lesser than process P2 and process P3 burst time. So P1 gets the chance and process P1 will be executed next by the CPU. So P1 gets into the CPU. After finishing 6 milliseconds of operation, it is coming out at 9th millisecond. So now P4 and P1 are completed. The next processes are kept waiting in the queue are process P2 and process P3. Process P2 having a burst time of 8 and process P3 having a burst time of 7. So among these two processes, process P3 has got the smallest next CPU burst. So process P3 gets the chance and it enters into the CPU for execution. So P3 executes for 7 milliseconds and it leaves the CPU at 16th millisecond. So P3 enters the queue after P1 leaves the CPU and P3 executes. P3 leaves the CPU at 16th millisecond and we have only one process left in the queue. So that is process P2. Process P2 enters into the queue and it executes for 8 milliseconds and it is leaving the CPU at 24 millisecond. So this is the Gantt chart which shows you the order in which the processes are executed by the CPU. And by this diagram, you can see at what time processes are started executed by the CPU and what time the processes are leaving the CPU. Okay, so this is the table. So this table, we have calculated the waiting time and the turnaround time of each and every process. So for process P1, the waiting time is 3 milliseconds. So when you look at this Gantt chart, process P1 enters for execution at 3 milliseconds. So the waiting time for process P1 is 3. Next, process P2. So when process P2 is entering the CPU at 16th millisecond. So the waiting time for process P2 is 16. Next, process P3. So when is process P3 entering into the CPU? At 9th millisecond. So here we have kept 9. Next, process P4. So process P4 is did not wait in the queue at all, because as soon as the process arrives, the process enters into the CPU. So the waiting time for process P4 is 0. So this is how you have to calculate the waiting time for each and every process. Next, we can find out the total waiting time. So when you sum up all the waiting time, you are getting 28 milliseconds as the total waiting time. And average waiting time is 7 milliseconds. So that is 28 divided by 4. We are getting 7 milliseconds as the average waiting time. Next, we can calculate the turnaround time. Turnaround time, you can make use of a formula. Turnaround time is equal to waiting time plus burst time. So for every process, the burst time and waiting time are given in this table itself. So you can simply sum up. So for process P1, it is 6 plus 3, 9. For process P2, it is 8 plus 16, that is 24. For process P3, it is 7 plus 9, so it is 16. For process P4, it is 3 plus 0, which is 3. So we can calculate the total turnaround time. When you sum up all, we get 52 milliseconds. And we can calculate average turnaround time, that is 52 divided by 4. There are totally 4 processes. So we divide it by 4 and we get 13 milliseconds. So the average waiting time is 7 milliseconds and average turnaround time is 13 milliseconds. So what is the SJF? The process which is having the shortest burst time will be executed first. This is what we call it as shortest job first CPU scheduling algorithm. Thank you.